Hi, my name is Lalit Mohan and I'm an Azure Solution Specialist focused on education. Today I will share with you a scenario-based demonstration of how Moodle LMS running on Microsoft Azure accessed through Microsoft Teams will feel like. The demonstration shown was created using the M365 integration plugins available in the Moodle user community website. Moodle is a popular, well-accepted learning management solutions in the education community, and Microsoft Teams is a popular productivity environment. Together, these are more potent in providing a convenient and quick access for the learners and educators to their composite learning environment, which may contain elements pulled from diverse set of sources and origins. Let's refer to such a learning environment as merged learning environment. The names, personalities, and scenarios shared herein are fictitious and only for the purpose of this demonstration. So let's get started. First, let's experience how a one-step access to this merged learning environment will look like. Through this scenario-based demonstration, using Microsoft Teams, we can provide our learners a one-step experience into their merged learning environment. They can get to Teams client from any browser or in their credentials, takes them into a merged learning environment where these courses on the top, physical sciences, where we are in the astronomy unit, is coming from Teams learning environment. And there is one course below here, which is actually coming from the Moodle learning management systems. Both the types of courses are coexisting in the same environment through a single login experience. The user may be accessing this merged learning environment through the browser of their choice or a device. In fact, this could be even happening from a virtual desktop. For example, in this case, it could be a Azure virtual desktop or Azure Lab Services or simply a virtual machine that is providing the user a remote desktop through the remote desktop connection. Now, let's peek behind the scenes of how this merged learning environment may be orchestrated. Let's take a quick look into the Moodle's learning environment of this user within the Microsoft Teams. So on the left is the very familiar menu. So on the dashboard, it will show up a quick snapshot of what are the courses which this user has visited and a snapshot of the other items like calendar, badges, etc. The user can go and actually look at the site. So this particular organization user belongs to is offering 2 courses. So when the user goes here, he or she is not yet enrolled for this course, and that will be done by the course administrator or the teacher, right? He or she can go to the course which she is enrolled in here, either through access or can also actually click here and go into the course. So once the user goes there, the course related menus open up in a very familiar Moodle way, where the details of the various sections can be quickly accessed using the pull down menus. The participants are listed here as well, and the user can filter to the participant he wants to see, and especially in the environment where there'll be a large number of users, filtering will be very useful, which is a Moodle feature. Badges, of course, which is not set up in this demo environment at the moment, competencies, grades, and so on. Going back to the top level, the overview of the course, we can see some additions that have come from the integration of Moodle's with Teams and Microsoft 365. So here there are shortcuts to the various Microsoft applications that we will dive a bit more deeper into to see how it can leverage and help make the environment, working environment, the learning environment for these users great. So now let's have a look how this kind of merged learning environment that you just saw can be orchestrated. What you see is a login screen for a demonstration Moodle instance. This particular instance has 2 courses built in. It has 47 users, and there are already some activities that have taken place. Let's log in as an admin. This is a login screen, which is very much like out-of-the-box Moodle would be like. Some of the stats are shown here. Let's go to the site administration functions. Again, it's very much like you see in a typical out-of-the-box Moodle. Only thing that has happened here is that I've used the plugin facility to install the Microsoft 365 integration plugins. And after that, I have bookmarked to actually put all of those functions under this easy to reach bookmark. Now, the first one which you see as setup is basically showing you three broad steps. First step is setting up this Moodle application as something that is recognized by the Office 365 tenant. So application ID and the application key are like username and password. So the Azure Active Directory of the Office tenant actually recognizes this as a legitimate application. Then we set up the connection method and say that we are going to allow this application to connect to the Office 365 cloud and its application. Then we are granting the admin consents so that Moodle application can access the resources in that particular Office 365 tenant using the Graph API. Now this all can be set up. In fact, the Microsoft 365 integration plugin provides the PowerShell scripts that will run through the first step of these three basic setup to provide you with the application ID and key by registering this application into the Office 365 Azure Active Directory. Once that is done, the next broad step is for syncing of the users between Azure Active Directory and the Moodle application. Also allows for restrictions to be placed if a certain range of the users are not to be taken from Office to the Moodle system. The second portion is about the courses. So here you can actually decide on what are the courses that should be syncing from Moodle to Teams. So these courses are mastered or created in Moodles and they are then transferred to the Teams application as teams or channels. Let's go to the advanced section, which basically allows the administrator of the Moodle application to manage the user connections. Now, these users that you see are actually coming from the Office 365 demonstration tenants, the same name, email IDs, and with their fully qualified domain name. Similarly, they can also manage the team. So here you can see this course on Moodle is actually connected to team by this name. And there are some update actions you can do post changes to the Moodle course in the Moodle application. Following which, we come to the team setting tab where we can actually check if all the prerequisites required for the team integration have been done. So we can see OIDC was the first page. It is already enabled. Web services, REST protocol, Office 365 web services, and the permissions have already been set up. One of the important points on this page is downloading the manifest file, which actually provides the details so that you can upload this Moodle application as an app in Teams environment downstream. Once that is done, and during the injection or upload of the manifest file, you will be provided with the application ID, which will look something like this. If you enter it here and save it, then every user who's enrolled in a course will not only have a Teams for each of the course they are enrolled in the Moodle using their Office identity, but they will also see a tab already created with the content of the Moodle course inside the Teams. And we will experience it shortly. With that, let's switch gear and look at some of the productivity functions that the students can use when the Moodle is presented to them as integral part of the Microsoft Teams merged learning environment. Finally, let's put on the hat of an educator and step through various typical experiences. Example, organizing my event calendar between Moodle and Outlook. Another example is arranging and making learning calls using Microsoft Teams. And finally, storing learning objects, mostly documents, in the various locations between Moodle instance and Microsoft 365 file storage locations. I'm a student enrolled in this course and I'm going to go to my calendar. My calendar is an aggregation of different type of Moodle calendar event, which may be filtered on and off using this event key box. The site events are set up by the administrator and they flow to all users in the site. Example here is the town hall meeting series that could be at the beginning of the year for broader mass communication. The education institutes may have organized their courses in categories, perhaps by faculty, example, humanities, science, technology, etc. The example here shows a common briefing for these different schools or faculty. Then there are the course events that will automatically flow to all the enrollees, including me shown here in purple. That's a specific introduction session for this course and a common session. Course leaders can create sub-course group. For example, in this course, I have been put into remedial group to provide me with additional help to catch up. And finally, my own specific events that will not show up on anyone else's calendar. For example, practice sessions I have set up and one event for mentoring with my course leader that is actually flowing up from Outlook user-defined calendar into my Moodle calendar. This filterable composite view helps me to organize and strategize my time and work effectively and efficiently without possibly feeling overwhelmed. As a user, I can orchestrate the syncing of my Moodle events with my office calendar, combining them further with the events that may be flowing through the Teams courses that I may be taking. Here is the setup for the Outlook Moodle link. So I can push the site events that we saw earlier, and I can choose which calendar. So I have an Outlook user-defined calendar called Moodle LMS, and here is the sync behavior to set it to Outlook. Similarly, I can even take my personal events, which are in Moodle calendar, and sync it with the same calendar. I could choose to sync with the default Outlook calendar as well, which will then show up in the Teams calendar. So here I can do two-way flow. So I can pull the events from Outlook into Moodle, which we saw, the mentoring engagement. And lastly, the course. You notice the course category events are not set up here. And it's an important point to note that these plugins which make it possible are open source software. So they can be developed further to include whatever you think may be needed relevant to your site. Now, let us visit the Outlook calendar in the same tenant. Here you see on the left, Outlook provides user capability to create user-defined calendars and calendar groups. I've done that. I've created a Moodle LMS calendar, and you can see the events in brown superimposed with the events that are coming from the courses that were created using Microsoft Teams. This allows me a view to be vigilant, and for example, here I can see that I need to do some orchestration or reorganizing of my engagements as they seem to be overlapping back to back and even clashing. I could also choose to use the Teams calendar, which is same as the LTI plugin application that we saw. I can set up the engagement, but keep in mind the currently Teams calendar inherently syncs only a default Outlook calendar and there is no month view. Hence, the M365 integration plugin is an all-encompassing approach. Let's experience setting up and making Teams call from Moodle. I'm going to do that as a course leader. So click here gives me the dialog box. I can select different type of events, user group or course. So let's select course here. Now this combines very cool feature of Moodle and Teams, where this invite will be sent to all the enrollees in this particular course automatically. These are the settings for the call. The one of special interest to us is the Teams meeting option here, and we can request it to make the Teams meeting link. It creates the link for us. We can straight away go to this meeting, even set up the options for the members joining this call. Let's select the open in new windows option and say add link. So the link gets added to the Teams invite. We can put other information like the duration of the call and go ahead and say, let's start this meeting. You can observe from the people list that as the members of this course who have received this link, this meeting invite join in, their names are shown. We can start the interaction online. The Teams interactions are visible and all the features are available and used. Come out of the call. If you look at the chat, you can see that this call and the interaction actually get recorded for later references by the members of the course. Going back to the Moodle inside the Teams, this was a tutorial which we just tested. We can further make it a bit neat. By copying this link, We can embed the link in any text that we want using this link command. Here is an interesting browsing of repository capability, and notice in addition to others, Office 365 repositories like OneDrive, Group Storage Area, and even Delve file trendings can be used as the source. Let's check for the open in new windows and create the link. We can put the other message for this particular meeting that may be suitable. Put the duration as necessary and save. Let's go back to the overview of the Moodle course in Teams and explore the information object, mostly documents, and where they can be stored in combination of places from the Moodle instance and the Office 365. Here are the shortcuts that have been injected using the Microsoft 365 integration plugin. And the first thing we'll explore is the OneDrive file, which is a common place where the class information is stored. So you notice this SharePoint Online site mirrors the structure of the Moodle course and the Teams channel, and most of the documents here are common, available to the team, templates, survey forms, problem of the week, etc. Now this integration brings quite cool capabilities from M365. Let's explore two of these capabilities in Moodle environment coming through Microsoft 365, namely Immersive Reader and co-authoring using. So you notice in this particular example document, three people are editing it. Myself, I'm doing some editing here. You already see that Dilbert and Fatima are both inside the document as well. Fatima is editing the subtitle here, and Dilbert is editing here. Working together on assignments perhaps could be something that allows group and collaborative working in the course. Now, let's also experience Immersive Reader on the same document. So we are into the Immersive Reader interface. Let's play. We want to set the voice. Let's keep a female voice. Maybe let's make it a little bit faster. We can also make the font a little bit smaller. So we see more of the text. Here are the usual Immersive Reader settings, like the background, etc. For visually impaired. Probably this is a good setting. And here, let's
Tuesday,
play.
September 20th, YYYY. News today. Latest news and bulletin updates from the press. Issue number 10.
So the other capabilities are about the English, switching on the English components and syllables, which will be very helpful for non-English learners, which are most of the customers, students that we have in Asia. And here is the line focus to help the students build their attention. Let's open it up, and a very useful picture dictionary. When I click it, it actually shows pictures and helps the students learn non-native languages using the picture dictionary. Lastly, the very cool feature of translating. So you can just translate it to another language. I can do it for the entire document. Let's switch off the line focus, and here you are. And then once again, we can play.
9月20日星期二，年同期，今日新闻，来自媒体的最新新闻。
So the M365 integration has helped bring this capability into the Moodle environment, and the students can leverage. So let's go back to the overview and the second location where the information objects can be stored, and that would be private files. Now, this is a place where information can be stored. So for example, I have a parent-teacher document which has been uploaded to the Moodle cluster environment. It may be required as a policy by school to keep it in the Moodle cluster. So some such similar information which are not supposed to be on local drives or private cloud accounts, maybe due to privacy or data protection policies that might be in place. So that's the location which can serve this particular purpose. Let's go back again to. So the next location that we explore is My OneDrive, which is basically a private place for an individual. And if I go there, I'm storing a file which is CV, and I may be using this for my committee selection. Now take note, this particular location is actually the same as the files and cloud storage location accessible through the Teams. It is very similar to the LTI OneDrive app that can be injected into Moodle. But unlike the LTI OneDrive app, if you use Microsoft 365 integration plugin, it provides more repository endpoints. For example, the Office repository from which you could actually access files in the Office 365 tenant, and we saw it before, becomes possible as well in addition to other capabilities. Here are the hyperlinks to some of the relevant resources that were leveraged to create this demonstration. Please do spend some time in looking through these, and thank you for your time for watching this demonstration video.